Oh my god, I'm gonna have to kindly ask you to ignore the chaos that is my room, because every time I go to uni, my room becomes a storage room. Thumbs up if you can relate to that. So my mum and I always have these like philosophical discussions and stuff to do with like self-growth. I feel like she and I, like in the family, we can like relate to each other in that sense. We love chatting about that stuff. Should I put you here? There's like no space. My teddy bear fell over like this morning. I'm glad it was this morning and not last night. Really? This is the view we're going for? Bloody hell. Sorry. I just don't know where else to put you. Like, if I put you there, it's gonna be a nightmare. So anyway, let's just go with this. Thanks, Gab. What were we talking about? I have kind of said things along the lines of this before, but I think that what we chatted about was really interesting. So we're chatting, right? And one of the things she said was actually really, it was sweet, and it's a very nice compliment. And I've heard this before. Let me know. People often say that I'm quite self-aware, or that I'm good at like psychology or like understanding people. I mean, I think I can be, but I never want to get too full of myself with that, because I never want to believe that I fully get people, or that I'm fully good at that, because I think when you get to that point, it's very easy to become complacent and just think, oh well, I know everything, and and I never want to get to that point, especially with something like this, because that could be a time, especially like when I have kids, for example, and I don't want to go in with the perception that I know everything about everything, and then I'm not receptive to what they're actually telling me, because I'm not able to open my mind to what they're actually saying. But let me know, like, I'm curious. She mentioned that, and I said to her, I was like, because she was like, I wish I knew this about you earlier, because if I'd known, then I would have encouraged you to do psychology. And I said to her, I was like, actually, Mum, one of my friends is doing psychology, and there's so much that she cannot say, because it's like sort of like it's a matter of ethics. And I said to her, I was like, all of this advice and all of these insights that I'm giving, I mean, it's not based on actual like science. Everything I'm talking about, I mean, maybe it could be, and I just don't know about it, but everything I talk about is based off of me, like my observations of myself, of the world around me, things I've heard in podcasts and books, so if I did get the qualification and I did become a counselor or a psychologist or whatever, it would probably be unethical for me to say half the things that I say. I feel I can be of more service. I mean, I didn't say this part because she doesn't know about my YouTube yet, but I think it's a good thing that I didn't do that, because I would be sat there in the office and someone's telling me something and I'd be thinking, you're ruining your life, you're ruining your life, you're ruining your life, for example, right? And instead of telling them like, you need to stop with the BS and get your shit together, I would have to say something like, the typical line, and how does that make you feel? To be honest, I'm in therapy. They don't always say that. There's more to it. We've got to give them a little bit more credit. But, I just wouldn't be able to say everything that's on my heart, and it would just clash. So it's a good thing, and I think it works out. So what we were talking about, one of the things we were talking about, like habits, things we do and why we do them, and how sometimes we'll do things and we'll be like, but why did I do that, even though we know it's bad for us? And I told her, like, I analyze this a lot, and I think I talked about, number one, association, narratives we tell ourselves. For example, I've touched on this before. If you tell yourself you're a fat person, and that you have like fat girl habits, for example, what are you gonna do? What are you perpetuating? If you have that identity, what habits align with that identity? There you go. That's what you're practicing. I've discussed identity shifting, alter egos. I think I might have mentioned, I still have more self-study to do with that, but I think it's along the same lines of that. What is your foundation? Like, what are you telling yourself? What's your identity? How do you identify? If you identify as a night owl, I mean, what do you think's gonna happen? Of course you're gonna be up till crazy o'clock, even if you only get an hour's sleep, and you're gonna hate yourself for it. But if you keep identifying as a night owl, okay, so that was that. I've discussed that before. The second thing I talked about was sometimes it's a matter of self-worth. We do little habits and we think, why are we doing them, right? Now, I've noticed this in myself, where I'll do something and I'll like hate myself for it, but the reason that I'm doing it is because I think I don't deserve any better. And actually, to correct that, I believe I don't deserve any better. usually, if I am practicing a negative habit for myself, it's because I already feel shit about myself and I don't feel that I deserve to feel any better about myself. So I do something that I know is going to keep perpetuating that negative feeling I have towards myself. So if I'm practicing, say, eating a lot of sugar, or going to bed at a crazy o'clock, right? And I know it's bad for me. I can feel it. I know when I'm doing it, that I'm doing something negative for myself. My actual problem is not to combat that little habit. My actual problem is to combat the habit or the thing that I'm neglecting that makes me feel like I'm not worthy of living a better life. My example would be if I haven't studied for a few days, or if I haven't gymmed for a few days, not because of poor health or whatever, but like if I just was slacking and I haven't addressed this big thing that actually does make me feel good about myself, like I need that. Like that is a pillar for my self-confidence. This translates into so many things. People do this without even realizing. They don't address these big things in their lives that actually boost their self-esteem, that boost their confidence and make them feel good about themselves. And so they end up doing more things, spending the time doing things that are negative, and they know that they're negative. So in my instance, the solution would be, don't worry about your sleep thing. Don't worry about how much sugar you're consuming. Go and address the fact that you are 3 days behind on your uni work. When you go and do that, see how you feel. See how you feel, and then tell me if your cravings are as intense. It's a metaphor as well, this. Go and address the big problem, that discussion, that uncomfortable discussion you don't want to have, but you know that on the other end of it, you're going to feel better about yourself for doing so. That homework that you don't want to do, that social situation that you've been avoiding. We all know the best of ourselves. We all know the potential for ourselves. And I think right now what I'm kind of going into is transformational leadership. And I haven't studied this so much, but I think we have the potential to be transformational leaders for ourselves. This is a very rusty idea, so please bear with me. I wrote an essay on this like a few years ago, but it was to do with like motivation and stuff like that, and what motivates employees, etc. And I did come to a few conclusions, but I think one of the things is just generally with humans, you want to prepare for the worst of them. Like you want to have stuff in place, rules, consequences, etc. in place for the worst in the human, right? Like there should be consequences there in place. But with that being said, you should always believe in the best. Always be prepared for the worst, but always believe in the best. I think our greatest gift as humans is awareness. If you are aware of something, you can change it. You can be grateful for it. You can, you can create art out of it. Like, awareness is a beautiful thing. And I think that if you can see the negative in yourself, like we all have that. No human is perfect. I'm not going to look at an employee or look at myself and be like, I'm the best that there is, period. Because that's arrogance. And you could be great at what you do, fucking fantastic. But you're, as a human, guaranteed to make mistakes. You're guaranteed to have off days. You're guaranteed to have those desires, which, could get you perhaps in trouble. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed today. I'll miss that meeting. What do we do when that version of you shows up? We got to have systems in place. And the point isn't to hate a person. The point isn't to make them feel like shit about themselves. The point is to call them out so that they can feel better about themselves. I really believe in that. Whilst we're here, I'm not going to go into too much detail because this was a personal topic to the person I was talking to about it. They struggle with binge eating disorder. Personally, I don't have a lot of experience with this. I do with regards to sugar, kind of, but we discussed it a bit and my experience was different to theirs. And they were talking kind of about the accessibility of it and how they had this tendency that there would be food on their plate, and then they would eat a quarter of it, they'd get really full, they'd feel sick, and then they'd feel like, I should stop, but then they wouldn't. And they felt like there was this huge block. This person was like, sorry, I made a cut because I'm trying to like say this the right way. This person was like, you know, I can put some of this aside for later, but I never end up doing it. And I said, okay, look, if your thing in your head is to finish what is on your plate, you finish what is on your plate, that is your automated system, then you need to make it easier for yourself. It's going to take time, and I'll touch on something else in a second. It's going to take time for you to change that very ingrained way of thinking. So rather than trying to be like, oh my god, I hate myself for not just eating a quarter, make it accessible for yourself. Make it easier. What you're going to do, you're going to prepare your food. You're going to put the 3/4 aside first. And then you're going to sit down with a smaller plate, and you're going to fill that smaller plate up with that quarter of food, and you're going to enjoy it. You are going to enjoy it. And then that, like, extra food, you got it set aside for later. Rather than trying to combat this, make this a little bit easier for yourself. Oftentimes when I've reflected, why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Sometimes it really just does come down to a lack of discipline, right? But we're human beings. We're not robots. We don't run by, like, I mean, we have programs and programming, but we're not, you know what I mean? We're not computers. But even as a computer, I mean, shit goes wrong, doesn't it? So, anyway, that's besides the point. When you feel like you're constantly going against the grain of yourself, it's exhausting. It's hard to practice discipline 24/7. So, try and make things more accessible for yourself, more easy. When you're trying to achieve something, you want to work with yourself, not against yourself. If you're sat there and you're eating that plate of food and you're hating yourself, you're not helping yourself. You're not. You know, you don't want to hate yourself during the journey. You can be frustrated with yourself. You can, you know, at times be like, oh, you know, why would I do, you know, the ups and downs will be there, but the point is not to hate yourself. You're doing this from a place of love. And love is a thing that I think we often have to learn or relearn. I guess it's, yeah, like I said, I would just put it down to like always be prepared for the worst in oneself, because those days will come. You know, those days will inevitably, we're gonna have moments that we feel like shit and we will behave badly and we're like, oh, rules, you know, let's break them. You know, whether it's rules like you know, I don't know, like not going to work the way that you the time you should, or rules with yourself where you could wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Like, it's a natural desire to explore that side of ourselves, but at the same time, too much, I think, overindulgence in that can lead to a lack of self-fulfillment, and that's damaging. It's very damaging. And I think we need to believe in the best of ourselves and for ourselves, individually and collectively, especially if we wish to progress and heal. One more thing that my mom and I were talking about, she heard in a podcast about, rather than looking at things like, what can I get from doing this? Maybe like material things, achievements, etc. What can I get from doing this? Think and focus on who you want to become as a result of this. So I really like that. And actually, now saying it again, I think I want to apply that more to my degree, because I think live people, whether it be your parents or teachers or society, will make it out so that getting a degree, for example, is, you know, what you can it's like what you can get from it, right? And I'm not neglecting the fact that you can get stuff from a degree. You can get, first of all, knowledge, information. You can get, sorry, I'm trying to tidy my room. It can help you get a job, right? Stuff like that. And I think I really struggled with that personally, looking at what I can actually get from my degree. This is just on a personal note. But I think focusing on who I can become as a result of it, I think that might actually help to incentivize me to be more passionate about it. Just on a personal note. When you focus on what you can get, what you're actually doing, like, effectively, is you're practicing attachment to an outcome. You're practicing attachment to perhaps these material things, accomplishments, etc. What happens if you don't get them? I think my parents are calling. We've got lunch. What happens if you don't get them? And then my mum quite nicely added, what do you base your identity off of then? Oh yeah, I was like, you know, what happens if you don't get them? who are you? And then she was like, yeah, like, what's your identity comprised of then? Because you've been pursuing this. She said something along the lines of that. She said it way nicer than I just said it. So there's that. And I also said, when you focus on who you are or who you can become, you'll attract the right things to you anyway. And in fact, you'll attract the best things to you because A, you're in the right vibrational state for them, and B, you're not attached to them. So I really like that. I like that point that she brought up. I think it reiterates a couple of things for me. One of my one of my amazing friends is going through something right now. It's quite amusing, but at the same time, I'm like, honey, it's just one of those things. So she's putting her foot in it, metaphorically speaking, in many ways in her life right now. Or at least that's my interpretation of it. She is more than welcome to correct me, but I think she might agree to an extent. She's just having a moment. She's having a blip. And I've been trying my best to help her. But this is the thing. Actually, I want to talk about something else too. Fuck, this is so typical of me, isn't it? Anyway, I've been trying to help her and stuff, right? And at one point she was like, God, you're probably so fed up on me. And I tried to keep it, like, sweet and, you know. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just tell her. I said, look. Yeah! I'm gonna have to... Coming! I'm gonna have to go real soon. I said to her, she was like, you know, you're probably so fed up on me. And I said, well, I was like, yeah, you are dumping on me a little bit. Because I think it's good to tell your friends when they're having that. I would want to know if I'm dumping and being a bit of a crazy person. So I said, yeah, you are dumping a bit. But I was like, it's not that I can't hear this. Because she's telling you all the shit that she's up to and everything. I said, it's not that I can't hear this. And it's not that I'm fed up with you. I'm just fed up with this for you. Like, I want to see you thriving. And you know, if you're going through shit, it's natural to feel like shit. You're allowed to feel like shit if you're going through shit. But don't stay in that. If there's something where you're looking around and all you're seeing is chaos, take a moment, sit down, check in with yourself, see if there's a little part of your self-esteem that needs a little dusting. See if there's something that needs to be addressed before you go out and you put your foot in it again. And yeah, I think that might just also be helpful. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah! Did you hear my sister? I'm so sick of that lighting. I'm sorry. I was like watching that video over because I was like trying to remember what I was talking about, and I just want to give you like a little better. Sorry, this is just, there's no space. Okay, you know what, let's just, yeah, okay, we're doing this. I tried to like summarize what I said to my friend in the last clip. Basically, you can enter a panic when you're not addressing something, yeah? If you have like, say, maybe low self-esteem about something, or something's happened, and you're going out and you're acting in a way that's just chaotic, and this is with no judgment. I'm guilty of it, you know. If that's happening, stop chasing, stop running, stop trying to find that solution externally, because you're just gonna keep creating more shit around you, and it's not gonna be fun for anyone. And then you're gonna be like, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? And you're gonna be there with all this shit, collateral damage that you're trying to like fix, and your friends will be trying to help you. And honey, I will help you as a friend. I will help you, but there will be a line. There's only so much I can do, and if I can prevent you from creating more of that collateral damage, this is to my friends, this is to anybody out there, then I will. Yeah, if you're just seeing chaos around you, check yourself, have a little moment, be real. Be honest with yourself. What are you running from? What are you not addressing? Is it like a fountain or something? I don't know what this is. It just came to mind. I don't know what it is, but it's like you put there's say like water coming out of there's all these different holes, and there's water coming out, and you put something over one of them, and then water comes out of another one. You put something over that, and then water comes out of another one. You put something over that. Like, that's what's coming to mind. Okay, but just go and turn off the tap. Like, turn off the water source. If you're trying to stop the water from coming out, you gotta cut off the supply. Like, what is it that's generating that chaos within you? What thoughts, what hurt, what pain, what trigger? Like, what is it that's making you be like that? The other thing I want to talk about, this is in relation to friendship, but it's also in relation to yourself. This came to mind yesterday for me. I wasn't having a conversation or anything, and I've just been reflecting on my recent videos, what I've been saying, how I've kind of perhaps been more controversial, a little less flowery in the way that I speak, more direct. And I think that the reason I'm like that is A, I've been inspired by other YouTubers, but B, I'm actually being serious about my change. And I'm being serious about my change in my actions. And I think what's happened is subconsciously I've recognized that I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. I need to do something different. And so that comes with thinking differently. So I'm trying it out. I mean, the way that I speak now, I'm more direct, I'm more blunt. I would actually say that I make less excuses for myself. And as a result, it probably comes across as I make less excuses for you guys. And if that seems extreme, I'm sorry, but the attitudes that I'm showing and displaying here, that's also what I show myself. So, and it seems to be working for me so far. It's what's kept not only my head above water, but it's gotten me swimming again. It's so if I come across as more blunt, etc., simply put, I'm just evolving. I could, reflect sometime in the future and be like, actually, my initial approach of, being more flowery and being more kind and being maybe more gray and ambiguous in my rules for people and myself, maybe that was the right approach. But for now and where I am in my life, I've recognized that there needs to be a change, there needs to be a shift. And there's something that I'm not doing that other people are doing, and that is the reason why they are happy and fulfilled and I'm not. My method has not worked up until this point. I need to try somebody else's method. That's where I am with that. Maybe you can apply that in your own life, but I think it also goes to show that until you are receptive to something, you're not going to change it. So I see that in myself. I've become receptive because I've lost so much. I've been left with no choice. I'm so deeply unfulfilled that it's either I off myself or I figure out a way to actually fucking thrive and mean it. So it's a bit of an ultimatum. Like it's an extreme push. I have an extreme drive to find a solution. So there's that, but I think this is also it ties into friends and people. I can give you this advice, I can tell you everything I'm learning, I can try and help my friends, but if they're not receptive, if they're not open, energetically open, mentally you can be open, mentally you can watch all the self-help videos, read all the self-help books, but if you're not energetically open, spiritually open to the lesson and incorporating it into who you are and who you're becoming, you're not going to change. Your friend is not going to change. Your family member is not going to change. What to take away from that? Perhaps you can be inspired by it, but I think with regards to people and stuff, learn to save your energy too. Learn where to draw the line. Am I going to go into that? It's not really relevant right now. I have no regrets in how I've approached the situation with my friend. And I think she appreciates it too, and I would expect the same from her, that if I was, behaving in a way which isn't in my best interests, that she would let me know, so because she wants the best for me the way that I want the best for her. And I guess if we touch on the friendship thing, friendship it's not meant to be roses. It's not meant to be pretty all the time. It's not meant to be aesthetic Instagram pictures. And oh my god, we look so cute. No. Real friendship is real shit. If you want a real friendship, you gotta do the real shit. You gotta do the real work. And that means being honest. It means being candid. I think ultimately friendship is, I'm still learning. I think my definition of it's evolving. And I think it will continue to evolve as I get older. But simply put, for me right now, it's wanting the best for somebody and showing that in the best way that you can. In the way that's accessible to you. For some people that might mean you see them every day, you do a lot of life together. For other people it could be a phone call every couple of weeks, how you doing, what's up, but I am entering this sort of phase, I guess, where I'm tolerating less BS for myself, and as a result I tolerate less BS for my friends too. As in if I'm not bullshitting myself here, why are you bullshitting yourself? If that's who you're gonna be, hun, I'll call you out on it, but if you keep doing that, like, I'm sorry, but we just can't, we're not on the same page. Because if you can't help yourself, what is this friendship? I don't need my friends to be the same as me. I don't want my friends to be the same as me. No, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, that's what makes our friendship so beautiful. But in terms of, like, grit, I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. And I know, like, the people I have around me, I love them to bits. And I have them around me because I know that they're capable of doing the work too. Or they are doing the work and they're inspiring me to do the work. And that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want around me. That's what I want here for the world, for people. Let's help each other. Let's help each other to help ourselves. Anyway, that's going off into a tangent. I've been everywhere with this video. I'm so sorry, but I hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two. And that's it. I'm gonna go. I have an essay to write. I need to go. Bye. Love you.